Hello Musici, welcome to this new video. Today let's analyze this very beautiful piece by Johann Bach, this Sinfonia in E minor. So let's start. This video is from a request by Jeren from Groningen. Hello. And a little late because I had 1 week in May where my throat were hurting. So, but now it's okay. Now I'm okay. So let's read the message. Hello Ricardus, I sent you my analysis of Bach Sinfonia 7 in E minor. The time I've also tried to make a falling fifth sequence with the theme and parts of the theme. I've placed these sequences next to the Sinfonia score. Okay, I'm looking forward to your analysis and your exercises of this piece. One question. What is a sinfonia? Is it the same as a prelude by standing on its own? Also, I remember reading in a book a while ago that an invention is a two-part piece and a sinfonia has 3 voices. First of all, before analyzing the sinfonia, which is a very beautiful sinfonia, one of the most interesting pieces by Bach, all the pieces are beautiful, but this one is very nice. Let's talk a little about invention, sinfonia, these terms. First of all, here, I remember reading in a book a while ago that an invention is a two-part piece and a sinfonia has 3 voices. No, invention is not a two-part piece. Bach wrote 2-part inventions. When we talk about invention, we have to think about the rhetoric, okay? In the rhetoric, in the classical rhetoric, as defined by Cicero and by the 1st century Latin text Rhetorica ad Herennium, the 5 overlapping offices or divisions of the rhetoric process are this invention, heurisis in Greek, dispositio, taxis, arrangement, elocutio, lexis, style, memoria, mneme, memory, and actio, hypocrisis, delivery, this. Now, when we talk about the invention, then I give you this link in the description of this video. There is this very interesting, I found this very short and interesting page from University of Arkansas. Invention. What is the invention? The invention is the process of coming up with material for a text. In writing, this is the brainstorming or pre-writing stage. Example of invention. A political candidate comes up with several major points she wants to bring up in a debate. Before writing a paper, a student does a free writing exercise to come up with a good topic. Before a major trial, a defense attorney thinks of ways to combat the charges against her client. So, an invention in music is a musical idea. Invention number 1. This is the idea, and then Bach transformed this with augmentation or with augmentation and inversion. So from that single element at the beginning, the invention Bach then creates an entire speech. So when we talk about invention, we are talking about a rhetorical thing. Those are 2-part inventions. Someone called this composition for a 3-part inventions is not at all incorrect, because at the end any piece which is written with a rhetorical speech is an invention. Okay, the problem is that Bach didn't call them inventions. We have the name you told about, Sinfonia, but we have an earlier version which is called Fantasia. So this is Sinfonia 7, and we have another version, an earlier version, which is called Fantasia 3. So what about Fantasia and Sinfonia? There are a couple of interesting things. From this book, by Alberto Basso, Manuale di Navigazione, so a navigation manual among all the works by Bach, there is a page where you can find the word Sinfonia. So let's read it in English, okay? Musici Prattici helped me in translating this. What is a sinfonia? The term is used to designate composition for 3. What is a sinfonia in the context of Bach, in Bach's works, because this is a book about Bach. So the term sinfonia is used to designate compositions for 3 voices for the keyboard, from this catalog numbers, inventions and sinfonias. which in the Klavierbuch line for Wilhelm Friedrich Bach were originally called Fantasies. It also refers to the first movement of the Partita 2 from part 1 of the Klavierübung, blah blah blah, etc. Then, furthermore, the term appears in the first version of the concerts avec plusieurs instruments and in some opening movements or sometimes at the beginning of the second part. The Sinfonia at the beginning of a cantata and the Sinfonia at the beginning of the second part of a cantata after the sermon, with instrumental character in a number of cantatas, as you can see. So, instrumental character. Fantasia. Fantasia, the term refers to a considerable number of pieces, either standalone or paired with fugues, chromatic fantasia and fugue, fantasia et fuga, fantasias and fugues, etc., etc. The term is also used for the introductory piece of the Partita 2 for the keyboard. Additionally, the 15 three-voice composition in the Klavierbuch line for Wilhelm Friedrich Bach are called Fantasies, but would be later renamed Sinfonia. So, Fantasia, when we talk about Fantasia, Fantasia means fantasy, but in the way of invention, so creation. Suonare fantasia means improvising. So, Fantasia is a mental process, it's something about the mind. So Fantasia can be a mental elaboration. That's it. We can find something very interesting in this other book, which is a collection of musical terms from British sources, where I made a scan of this page. Of course, this is a PDF you can download on Patreon. Join Patreon because there are a lot of things you can learn every day, every week, every day I post something exclusive so that you can learn something every day about early music, and that's why you should join us. There are all the original definitions of fantasias. So, for example, let's read a couple of them. Florio, passa fantasia, passatempo, a pastime, sport, solace, recreation, also a Jews harp or trump. Trump. Phillips, in music, a fantasy is a piece of composition full of harmony, but which cannot be reduced under any of the regular kinds. So not so far from a prelude. Let's say that the word prelude identifies, this is a very interesting thing, because the word prelude identifies as something, so implies that something is following. Prelude, preludium, before the play. The word toccata means that that composition contains passages for the fingers, toccata, to touch, tangere. The word fantasia means that it's more a mental elaboration, so it's, from a mental point of view, is more complex. So these are three words, if you analyze a lot of pieces, where you may find these three different nuances. At the end, they are preludes, they are the same kind of piece. A prelude can be a fantasia or a toccata, and vice versa. But the main focus in the prelude is the role before something. You won't play a prelude standalone. It's weird. A toccata can be played standalone, may have a sense, a bigger structure, and the toccata is suitable for the keyboard because it's tangere, toccare, to touch. So there are maybe more scales, more of the toccata, more belonging to the toccata style. In Fantasia, what recalls to me the frame of Fantasia is a mental elaboration, like Invention. In the Invention, in the Inventio, the art of finding good topics for your speech, this is very similar to the concept of Fantasia, which is closer to the elaboration then. But the Fantasia can be the subject you have to develop. You have the subject and you have to develop it in a very good way. So then you can have a lot of fun reading all the definitions of Fantasia. Let's read, just to conclude this part, what Morley says. plain and easy introduction, okay? The most principal and chiefest kind of music which is made without a ditty is a fantasia. That is when a musician takes a point at his pleasure and rests and turns it as he lists, making either much or little of it according as shows him best in his own conceit. In this may more art be shown than in any other music, because the composer is tied to nothing but that he may add, diminish, and alter at his pleasure. And this kind will bear any allowances whatsoever. I don't know this word, what does it mean? Whatsoever, tolerable in, I think, whatever or something tolerable in other music, except changing the air and leaving the key, which in Fantasia may never be suffered. Other things you may use at your pleasure as bindings with discords, quick motions, slow motions, proportions, and what you list. Likewise, this kind of music is with them who practice instruments of part in greatest use, but for voices it is but seldom used. So at the end we can say an instrumental piece which has a more mental, a more architectural, a more complex elaboration, which is not necessarily a prelude, so there's no piece which follows, and which has not necessarily toccata passage like scale, arpeggios, or other things related to the keyboard technique. This is what we can define as Fantasia. Now, we have this Fantasia, but before analyzing the Fantasia, let's listen to this Fantasia. And I found a very beautiful performance of these Fantasias. There is a very nice harpsichordist. I hope one day I'll be able to play like him, because I don't know him. I never saw him on YouTube actually, but he played very well this Fantasia. So let's listen to it and let's go through the score. Let's go. Okay, and then there is my advertising. So let's reserve the advertising later in this video, and let's pass to the analysis. So let's start from the analysis you did. Sometimes it takes very little to improve, just a little, but every day. You look at a sheet of music and it seems like a random collection of notes, and now you can't connect them. But if you know how to reveal the meaning and the connection between the notes, you can discover magical and wonderful paths hidden among the melodies and harmonies. You sit at the keyboard, but you don't know where to start composing or improvising a piece. But if you know the right techniques, even just with a few compositional elements, you can create something wonderful. You study a piece, you can play it technically well, but don't understand what's happening harmony and counterpoint wise. But if you change the perspective with which you read and play those notes, you can literally change the way you see them. That's actually a kind of magic. Every month, every week and every day you can have something special and valuable like this. Video analysis, a lot of PDFs analysis and handouts of pieces to truly understand what's happening in each passage, in each piece. Improvisation elements like this of the other day of how to improvise a fugue. Practical exercises to learn how to compose music and how to become better at improvising. Fugues, chorale, freeforms and more. Composition and improvisation pills to discover how the great composers crafted certain passages and learn to imitate them correctly. All of this on Patreon. So much content to explore, so much to learn, and many preview projects to discover. Go to this link, choose the best level for you, and start your adventure. Subject in E minor. So this is the subject of the invention. In the invention, in the mental process, you have the main thing, which is here. So here it is. Only Italian people will understand this, the war between these two songs. But we're talking about Bach now. And we're not talking even about Robiola Osella, because when you play this in D major, only Italian people will understand Robiola Osella, but I want you to know Robiola Osella. So, this is the melody, which is even Schubert's arpeggione. So let's talk about this is a more more relaxed video. So Schubert arpeggione. It's very fun to connect Schubert arpeggione with Robiola Osella, but then we'll arrive it. Schubert arpeggione. The last movement it's in E major, if I remember it. There is no any note here. Okay, perfect. Very strange to do it's very weird to do an analysis without a score. Okay, a guida all'ascolto without any score. So arpeggione sonata by Schubert, here it is. If you check the, let's say, the partitura completa, here it is, tac. Let's go to the last piece, here it is. Then there is the and then the arpeggione joins do, fa, sol, la, which is Robiola Osella. What is Robiola Osella? Now you'll discover it. Let's search Robiola Osella. Here it is. Where is the keyboard? Here it is. Robiola Osella. Do, fa, sol, la. This one. Wait, This is Robiola Osella. Okay, now let's get serious and let's analyze this composition. So this is the subject. The subject, one of the subjects of the invention, because we may have other elements here. Actually, in the first part, all the other elements you correctly highlighted with red are a consequence, an elaboration of the subject. Of the head of the subject, actually, because the subject in E minor, actually the subject is longer, as you can see, and then you have an answer, because the beginning is like a fugue. This red element is a rhythmical elaboration of the subject, of the head of the subject. Then, so let's play it. Very interesting use of chromaticism. Why? Because it finished on the fifth degree, and how to come back in a correct way without using this chromatic in a so direct and weird way with diminution. This is something useful, and in some partimenti, when I teach one-to-one lessons, book your one-to-one lessons, get in touch with me to learn to compose music in Baroque style as if you had lived in the Baroque. When there is a chromatic passage, sometimes the diminution mi fa is very useful. And then with this subject you have fam fa sol la re fa sol la, in the other voice in parallel thirds, as you can see. These parallel thirds are not a case, because if we go to the end, very closer to the end, we have parallel sixths. So parallel sixth, these parallel sixths are the inversions of the parallel thirds we had at the beginning. Now, probably they are transposed, because here they are C sharp and D, okay? Then let's focus on these four notes, E, G. So parallel sixth would be G and E. Let's see this parallel sixth. We even have parallel thirds, Evelyn. So, but these parallel sixths are G and D. Here they are F and D. Tara, and then in the second section this way, and then parallel third. So they are transposed in B minor here, because here we are in F sharp minor, B minor, and then A major, because they create a fonte A major ending with a cadence to D major, as you can see, an evaded cadence. But we'll arrive here later. Yes, so these are the elements. Now, this passage, all these 16 notes, you say start upside down and it is extended 2 beats. Okay. It's a continuation, a derivation from that point. I agree. Suspension, parallel sixth. And then finally the subject in the bass, as you can see. And here it's not anymore present. Why? Because the first section, the exposition, let's say, finishes here. Now what's happening is a little section leading to the very first cadence of this composition, which appears to be here, strong cadence in B minor. And as you can see, if you remember, when we were listening to the performance of that great harpsichord player, I marked some cadences. That cadence in B minor and another cadence in D major. Why? Because it's very common for this composition to have, let's say, 2 strong cadences, or sometimes 3, but in general 2 strong cadences before the final strong cadence. Even in dances, you have a strong cadence, which is the middle cadence where you put the ritornello, and then another cadence, strong cadence in the middle of the second part. Even here we have 2 cadences, a cadence in B minor and a cadence in D major, the major relative. We should even expect a cadence to F sharp minor, but you know, it's not necessary. F sharp minor, what am I saying? A cadence to, no, the 5th degree, no, the cadence to the 5th degree is already here in B minor, yes, because we are in E minor here. What do I say? Yes, wait, we are in E minor, Sinfonia is in E minor. I was thinking in B minor, no. So that's okay, the 5th degree and the major relative, oops, oh no, what did I do? And the major relative of what? Of the 5th degree. So that's okay. The major relative usually is the major relative of the main key. So E minor, G major, but it may even be the major relative of the fifth degree. In that case, B minor, D major can be in the suite and dance level course, which is almost ready. Only a couple of things are missing, but a few days. And we will analyze a lot of dances, and there is a dance by Corelli, a giga by Corelli, where we can see that in the Italian style, Corelli or Vivaldi, Corelli, in the Italian style we tend to have the major cadence in a minor mode to the major relative of the fifth degree. Quite common. By the way, okay, so we have those two cadences. Now let's continue our analysis. What's happening here? La fa, la sol fa, mi, re, la sol fa, mi, re. Cadence. Notice even how in all these cadences, all these elements arrive from the shape of one or more of the elements we have in the subject. Okay, they are all connected, these things. This is another aspect of the elaboration. In the elaboration, you reuse the material of the invention, the fantasia, okay, the concept, we would say, in a more modern and design way. Okay, then very strong cadence, and now the rhythm increase. If you start playing this Sinfonia that fast, you arrive here, which becomes a corrente. This is not a corrente. If we want to identify a dance, we may say a sarabande, because of the character which has a lot of, which is very passionate, because of the time, which is 3/4. It's not a sarabande, let's be clear, it is not a dance, but the character, the dance style is closer to a sarabande. It's not a minuet, it's not a corrente, can be a sarabande. Of course, we do not have the sarabande syncopation, it's not a sarabande in a dance way. The character of the melody and the elements are very close to a sarabande. Why? The time, 3/4, the sarabande can be in 3/2 or 3/4. 2, the fact that we have tension on the third beat, because we can have the sarabande syncopation, which is a kind of rhythm of the sarabande, but there are other sarabandes without the sarabande syncopation, and it can be very common to find this rhythm: long, short, long, short, long. Then in the second figure, here in the second bar, the highest point, there is a kind of, so the second beat is important, okay? Even if without the syncopation is important. Then another thing is the character. The character of the minuet is mainly stepwise, is simple. The style of the gavotte, which is not in 3/4, is totally different from the style of the sarabande, which is very passionate with contrasting emotions. Okay, these are the elements which make this very close to a sarabande. Now, let's continue with this. C natural. And then there is a kind of new exposition which starts with a new counter subject. It's like if this red section now is developed in a more interesting way with 16th notes, as you can see. And then, so we have the middle voice with the subject, okay, the top voice, then here a kind of false entry, but then the true entry arrives, no, it's not arriving here, now we have a sequence, but it's very, you know, it's giving the illusion that a new subject is joining, but this is leading to a sequence ending with a cadence to D major, and the next subject will be here. So let's play now the new exposition. And then notice how the new sequence is based on this figure tara 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 ta tara tan tara 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 tan tara 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 tan tara 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 tan, and then tara 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 ta. But from a melodic point of view, it seems that so actually the sequence is starting here. So segment 1 from F, which becomes B, so F, B, I, E, F, F, B, I, F, B, E, F, B, E, F, B, E, A, E, so pam, la, re, mi, fa, sol, sol, do, fa, fa. Then we are on D. So after this sequence, here is the sequence. Pum 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 pum. The bass takes the figure. Oh, fifth degree. Notice the structural notes. Fifth degree harmony. Oh, ending this way. With then contrary motion, ta tan 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 tan, and on the very top, fa fa mi. So let's play now the sequence. And another thing which is very noteworthy, we have the bass, another time the bass, so 2 times the bass, 2 times the top, or better, 3 times, no, 2 times the top voice, 1 and 2, half time the top voice, and then 2 times the bass, leading to the cadence. This is the plan. So here is a structure. Parallel 6. And no, okay, that's okay. Now, new section, we are in D major. Let's see what's happening. This figure with these descending lips, up, down, down, down. Now it's inverted. Why? Because it's an ascending figure this time. So we have the same subject, but something is changing. Invention and elaboration of the invention. This is elaboration of the Invention. Now, instead of having again the same thing, so ascending, because we are very high in the right hand, descending, so combination of ascending plus descending. Another kind of repeating the same elements, but not in the same way. Tight bass. And here we are in a very important point, because this is a kind of half cadence. Why? Because the subject in D major is followed by the same subject in D major, followed by the subject in B minor, but ending instead of A natural, B, A sharp. Why? Because this allows the entry of the new subject in B major. And notice how the subject is different. So the second time from this section, something tends to be different, because you correctly wrote subject B minor, but here we have melodically, I don't know if you notice this, a third. This is a third. But here we have a third, but preceded by another third. Why? Because Bach didn't want to arrive to A sharp again, but he wanted to arrive to G sharp in order to start the fonte. And so then he can arrive to F. So here it is. Let's use another color, orange. E, E, D, C, B, A, D, C, B, A, G, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, Mi. Then, new subject, Ro, viola, usella, subject. And even this time something different. Why? Instead of the third, we have the fourth, because Bach is setting the target note. Bach wanted this half cadence, so half suspended cadence, in order to start the final section, which is a representation of the beginning with this subject, and even another imitation later, and the final cadence. So what's happening here? We have the combination of all these elements. The subject, with then this parallel sixth we found has parallel thirds at the beginning, as the continuation of the other voice, as you can see. Then we have other elements. We have the 16th note elements, ascending and descending in both ways, combined ascending, then descending, ascending, and descending, ascending and descending, and then ascending. Okay, when I say ascending and descending, is the shape, but especially the connection of these three notes. Okay, this way it's ascending, that way it's descending, as you can see. The last time after the elaboration, because here we have the first time all descending. Now they are combined, as you can see, ascending, so only ascending here, then descending from the new subject, ascending then descending, ascending then descending, in so this way, with this alternation. Very good. Let's play this last section from D major. beautiful harmony. Why? Because Bach is combining mi, la, sol, fa, this, but then is holding there. And another thing which is very interesting is that we have the subject here, mi, la, sol, fa, mi, mi, la, sol, fa, mi, la, sol, fa, but it continues la with parallel 6, la, sol, fa, mi, then fa, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, then the last imitation is here, ti, ti, ra, tan, re, re, mi, fa, but there is one imitation here, re, re, mi, fa, and in the bass, as you can see, we have the descending figure 3 times from so let's see the structural notes in the bass. The structural notes in the bass is a very common pattern called descending thirds, or better, B. Why? Because this C, it's an appoggiatura, it's a suspension to B, so 6, 5, 7, 3, 6, A, F, F and D sharp, descending thirds up to the 7th degree. This is another pattern you can study in the partimento method. We are in chapter 8, 8.7, descending third up to this point, ta ta ta. And notice one more thing, it's not a case, we reach the very end, contrary motion from the lowest, let's say, part of the keyboard almost, but in terms of the scale, it's the lowest note of the keyboard, to the highest note of the keyboard. And the cadence, it's very, erratic cadence at the end, without so many strong connection. Of course, we have this figuration, which arrive from the blue element, but at the end it's a cadence, so Bach is releasing the tension, arriving to up to the 5th degree. B, taran taran ta. So it's the final cadence. Sometimes it takes very little to improve, just a little, but every day. You look at a sheet of music and it seems like a random collection of notes, and now you can't connect them. But if you know how to reveal the meaning and the connection between the notes, you can discover magical and wonderful paths hidden among the melodies and harmonies. You sit at the keyboard, but you don't know where to start composing or improvising a piece. But if you know the right techniques, even just with a few compositional elements, you can create something wonderful. You study a piece, you can play it technically well, but don't understand what's happening harmony and counterpoint wise. But if you change the perspective with which you read and play those notes, you can literally change the way you see them. That's actually a kind of magic. Every month, every week and every day you can have something special and valuable like this. Video analysis, a lot of PDFs analysis and handouts of pieces to truly understand what's happening in each passage, in each piece. Improvisation elements like this of the other day of how to improvise a fugue. Practical exercises to learn how to compose music and how to become better at improvising. Fugues, chorale, freeforms and more. Composition and improvisation pills to discover how the great composers crafted certain passages and learn to imitate them correctly. All of this on Patreon. So much content to explore, so much to learn, and many preview projects to discover. Go to this link, choose the best level for you, and start your adventure. That's a very complex composition, so you ask me for some exercises that you can do. Here we are at the presence of a very masterpiece of counterpoint. What could I tell you to say? Compose another piece with these elements. It's very hard. You can. What you can do consists in taking each single section. For example, Bach composed a fonte. Okay, Bach composed a fonte. Where is the fonte? The fonte is here. We were in B minor. A major. Why don't you create a monte? So, this, it means that the following part should start with the fifth degree. And so you find a connection. No. No. Maybe, but even it's better to arrive to D. Create a monte. So, how to do this? Let's write it. Let's import a piece of sheet today. Let's take all the time we need. This is 44 minutes, so a long video. Very long video, but let's do it because it's very interesting. Okay, this is what you did. You create a quintuple. Okay, these are all okay. I mean, let's play them very quickly. Also, resolution of previous dissonance is okay. Yes, this is something which works. Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, fa, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, re, re, mi, re, mi, fa, re, do, ti, do, fa, ti, do. In that case, for example, the Neapolitan 6, which is the fa super la, can be even more effective to have in order to have these unprepared seventh, okay? But now, what exercises can you do? What exercises can you do? Let's paste them here. So this is your analysis. Okay, we have the page. Okay, what to do? Set your subject. So, as you can see, we need one more bar, and then we want the next section to start a step higher, as you can see. Then re, re, mi, fa. We want the following section to be in F sharp minor, so D major, E minor, F sharp minor. We want a monte in 3 parts. So G, you set G, you'll do something, and then the last section will be F sharp, so C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. What note do I need here? The 5th degree of E minor, so D sharp. No, we need an A. Or G sharp, yes. And then it can continue in another way, because the third time this will be a little different in the second section to continue the speech. Now the other elements. Let's see if we can create a little canon. I don't know, eh? But I see that something like this can work, an imitation. So what do? We can do T, T, They are two parallel fourths, okay, we have to pay attention with other voices. This can be effective, so instead of the second time this figure, mi fa sol la, which is something we have encountered where in the bass here, so we are using this element as you can see, but even here as you can see, so it's something which is used. We can do this with the rest. Now C sharp. Then here we started this in that point with a sixth. Now we can't start another section, and it's very interesting because it's stepwise, and it's very interesting from another point of view. I'll tell you why. Because it's a sequence where in the bass we have the repetition of 1, 2, and 3. Each section taking this way, you know, 2 bars. We have another little sequence overlapping it this way. So it's like green, 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 and blue, blue. And then we have another green which is starting, but then it will continue in another way. So this, from a counterpoint point of view, works very well. Useful to come back to E minor, for example. So, oops, A, G sharp, T, and the note on the downbeat will be D sharp, so this way. Okay, there is one more voice which is missing, and the top voice can lead the 16th note figuration. So let's see how Bach started this with the 16th note figuration. He started with an octave here, and so we have the octave here. I'm talking about this relationship. This is a unison or an octave, as you can see. This one. Even here we have an octave. Let's see when it's in the top in the subject. So here another octave. Okay, okay. When it's ascending, it's a fifth. Okay. So here it's ascending. Okay. And then it can be ascending. Let's start writing this section. Sol, fa, mi, pam, 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 pam. We have B, okay. Now we need something arriving here, but let's use another color because we have already used blue. So color, let's use orange here for this thing. Come on. No. Psst. Dai, dai. Okay. Now, here we have the bass which is ascending. In the middle voice we have oblique motion, so if we play with contrary motion, no problem at all. Then here, what can be the target note? It can be B, for example. Why not? Because if we are doing a monte, the following section there is no, here will create problems. So we may have down, up, up, and down. Let's try to do something like this. I'm doing it right now, so I don't know the result. For example, here on A we have this. It's something which can work. Re, mi, fa. Re, mi, fa, re, fa, re, fa, sol, la. Why not? May work. Let's see. Re, mi, fa, fa, si, gi, do, la, fa, si, si, no, okay, it does not work. Now let's find that we'll find a solution, but let's set this E. No. If we take, okay, the standing movement in this point, this can work. Ta, da, ta, la, la. Something like this, okay, because we do a standing movement. Then okay, then no. If we do this, there is the problem of those parallel octaves. Okay, so can be comprehensible. Otherwise, we can continue the ascent. Why not? Because the point is this note is dissonant because it's an escape note, and so it can be okay. The harmony, the consonant harmony is C is D sharp. Ta tan 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 tan. So this should work. Let's see. Okay. And we have then an octave leap from E to the following note. For example. Okay. Now we have composed something which can work even in this bar, and we need something here which will go even here. So let's see what to do. For example, here we can put a 3/6. You know, with F and F, another F is a little weird, so we need an imperfect consonant. For example, why not? This can work. So we said A, F, or better A. No. We said A, D sharp, okay, So it becomes more an arpeggio, as you can see. Let's see. No, I don't like this point. Can work as a unison. This cannot work with the middle voice. The problem of counterpoint. But no, but let's find the solution. I want the solution. But with these notes, an F sharp. We need an F sharp. Okay, let's do our best in order to arrive with F sharp here. Let's see. This way. I agree, it's not the best solution of the world. But at least works, and it's a good exercise to do. Okay. Then we need to connect these 2 points, because here 2, 4, 6. Okay, and from this point we start, we said, with an octave. So no, with an octave we have these figurations, so which now becomes oh fuck, we D, okay, and and then this is a C sharp, but the C sharp is already there, so A, B, G, A, B, ta, 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 o, ti, fa, re, fa, sol, la. E sharp, G sharp, this way, okay, then the connection, D, down an octave. If we did this down an octave from E to E, can be nice now to have another down an octave. So like 1 1 5 5, pam pam, fa sol fa, and fa mi re actually. Okay, then down to A and up to E. Okay, and here this section, pam 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 pam, with the then they become parallel octaves here, they cannot work, so this section cannot work with this because they are parallel octaves. So what about, we said that Bach started with the fifth. When Bach had the ascending movement, this in the bass, he had a fifth, but now it's higher, so it becomes a fourth from degree 1. So if this section is in F sharp minor, this is what we need. Okay, so should be something like here. And how to correctly reach those two notes? For example, we can use E sharp, and we are doubling the leading tone. Yes, we can double the leading tone, Marameo. Yes, because here it's moving down and here it's moving up, so we can do it. Dun, 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 dun. Then the arriving point is this note, so appoggiatura to the octave, and then okay, this is a possible solution. Let's play it. Let's see now how it goes. So we started from a structure, a monte, harmonic, target notes. You can do this with any sequence. You can set the main note of the sequence and then you can elaborate other versions. It's a very hard exercise to do. This video is becoming very long, 1 hour and 6 for the moment. This may take more than 15 minutes. We have been doing this. This is something you should take an entire day to do. But this is a great result. And then it can continue in another way. Let's play it again one more time. we have created an exercise reusing the same elements. So apply the principle of the invention, the inventio, the re-elaboration, re-elaborate the same elements, creating a new sequence. It can be another quinfall in another key, do it in F minor, in a very far key, and so you can develop your contrapuntal and counterpoint skill, harmonic skill, transposition skill, all this way. And then see you here for another video. Join Patreon, join the MPA courses, you'll find some updates in the following days. And if you want to learn one-to-one lessons, of course, if you want to learn one-to-one lessons, if you want to learn composition, improvisation, partimenti, how to write a suite, fugues, etc., and other contrapuntal things, get in touch with me. There is the form below here in the description. There is a link. You go to my website, you get in touch with me, and we schedule our one-to-one lessons, one-to-one sessions in order to help you learn to compose music this way, in this style, in Baroque style, as if you had lived in the Renaissance. Hello, Jeroen, and to all of you, and see you here again. Look at all these books. They are beautiful, each one more than the other, and they contain a lot of information. But they have a big problem. Either you engage in a long, painful battles against the chapters to decipher, understand, and interpret what's written, or they are completely worthless. Think about when you bought your last book to learn how to compose music. How enthusiastic were you? And then, what actually happened? It stayed in your bookcase, gathering dust and rusting away. What you need, therefore, is not 1, 5, or 10 more books. What you need is an experienced guide who takes care to evaluate your current situation, is well aware of what your desired destination is, precisely because you tell him, so he can design the best path for your journey, points out the right exercises, shows you which mistakes to correct and how to correct them, and provides you with concrete tools to improve and get better step by step. In recent years, since I have been here on the web, I have had the pleasure of guiding by hand many people like you to learn how to compose music, to grasp the musical techniques, discover the secrets of musical composition, and then achieve concrete results. Because in the end, that's what matters, that everything you learn becomes a seed that grows your skills, and little by little you become able to compose music. And so you are happy, and happy are the people with whom you share this passion, music. For this reason, in order to help you to achieve these destinations, I've prepared 2 paths, with some things in common, but different. One to become a Renaissance musicus practicus, and another one to become a Baroque musicus practicus. Are you curious to discover all the beautiful things you can learn with me? Click on this link and download the special informational brochure, which contains all the information you need to make the best choice for you. Sometimes it takes very little to improve, just a little, but every day. You look at a sheet of music and it seems like a random collection of notes, and now you can't connect them. But if you know how to reveal the meaning and the connection between the notes, you can discover magical and wonderful paths hidden among the melodies and harmonies. You sit at the keyboard, but you don't know where to start composing or improvising a piece. But if you know the right techniques, even just with a few compositional elements, you can create something wonderful. You study a piece, you can play it technically well, but don't understand what's happening harmony and counterpoint wise. But if you change the perspective with which you read and play those notes, you can literally change the way you see them. That's actually a kind of magic. Every month, every week and every day you can have something special and valuable like this. Video analysis, a lot of PDFs analysis, and handouts of pieces to truly understand what's happening in each passage, in each piece. Improvisation elements like this of the other day of how to improvise a fugue. Practical exercises to learn how to compose music and how to become better at improvising. Fugues, chorale, freeforms, and more. Composition and improvisation pills to discover how the great composers crafted certain passages and learn to imitate them correctly. All of these on Patreon. So much content to explore, so much to learn, and many preview projects to discover. Go to this link, choose the best level for you, and start your adventure. I have defiant music in mind. A music that's not confined to institutions and academies for the chosen few, but that lives in the hearts of those who feel called by a mission. A music that is not about credit, exams, and loyalty points, but is built on study, love, dedication, passion, connection. A music that doesn't insult your intelligence and your creativity. You have to do this way because it's always been done this way. But a magical world to explore, full of enchanted forests and mystical paths to draw. Maybe this music is not for everyone. No. It's for those who aren't satisfied with the way things are today. For those who rebel against what and how we are taught in the education system. For those who want to see meanings beyond the notes. This is our music, the music of Musici Prattici. And you? Are you a musicus practicus?